Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carly Stevens. I'm a teacher and author, and this is English Nerd. Today we're talking about AP terms, particularly those that are really difficult. So maybe you saw the terms for AP English, the earlier videos, but it's been a hot second since I've returned to those. So I have a starter pack, a medium level of difficulty, and then today I'm going to share with you 12 of the more challenging AP terms. So let's dive in. First one is metonymy. Metonymy is easy to get confused with some other terms, so let me help by giving an example. Metonymy is referring to something as a related thing. So, for example, the White House says. It's not literally the White House saying, but it's something that's related to what you're actually trying to say, which is some member of the government, perhaps the President of the United States, etc. So it's a related thing that's representing something else. Or Boston won, if there was a team that won, that sort of thing. All right, number 2 is Aubade. And I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. I've never had somebody correct me. But that is a poem of two lovers parting at dawn, which seems like a pretty specific kind of poem to exist. But you look at something like The Sun Rising by John Donne, and it's very clearly an Albad, among some other things. But that is the term for today. Okay, speaking of John Donne, number 3 is metaphysical conceit. Conceit, I believe, was a term that I gave earlier in one of my videos. A conceit is just an extended metaphor. A metaphysical conceit is when you have something physical being compared to something abstract or especially spiritual. John Donne is another great example of this. In just about all of his poetry, there is a metaphysical conceit. I have a video out that looks at valediction forbidding mourning, and there are a couple of metaphysical conceits, and my very favorite one is a compass. He really goes on about it and how a compass represents this beautiful relationship that he has. Okay, number 4 is litotes. I'm sure you've probably heard of hyperbole. That's the more famous side of this. Hyperbole is exaggeration. Litotes is the opposite. It's extreme understatement, but it's a little bit more specific than that if you want to get technical. Litotes is an extreme understatement by denying the opposite. So if I say, oh, well, he's not ugly, or that's not bad, or whatever, then that would be litotes. A flavor of sarcasm is technically litotes. All right, number 5 is Tortsurima. Tortsurima is the style of poetry that Dante writes. It's a style where you have 3-line stanzas, A, B, A, B, C, B, C, D, C, etc., kind of in this zip pattern. So if you see small 3-line stanzas, T.S. Eliot does this in The Wasteland, if I'm not mistaken. So Tortsurima, it's an Italian type of poem. All right, number 6 is invective. Invective is hateful writing. So it's more of a way to describe something than hopefully anything that you'll officially be assigned. But you think about something like the Second Philippic against Antony, written by Cicero, which I'm not sure if you've read, but basically it just absolutely lambasts Antony and says that everything that he was and is and thought of doing, has ever thought of, is both morally corrupt and stupid. So that would be an example of invective. Okay, number 7 is aphorism. Aphorism is a term that has come up on my channel before when I was talking about A Tale of Two Cities. It is a short, pithy saying. Oscar Wilde is really known for his aphorisms. In fact, you can look up Oscar Wilde aphorism and a bunch of them are going to come up. They're just these really, when I say short and pithy, pithy just means that a lot of meaning is crammed in this fresh way into a small space. Okay, number 8 is an important one that, again, I've mentioned elsewhere on the channel, but it's not one that I've heard much outside of my own school, and that is prolepsis. Prolepsis is anticipating objections. So sometimes people recommend that in your thesis statement, for example, you include a prolepsis, something that acknowledges the other point of view, but then still stands by your perspective. So although it would cost more, my proposal is still worth it because. So it's acknowledging that there is another side to the issue that you have thought about, and early writers sometimes will think, well, won't that undermine my opinion? No, in fact, if you've done your own research, if you actually have a strong argument, this is going to strengthen it, because people might disagree and you'll address those objections before they come up. All right, number 10 is Synecdoche. Synecdoche is one of those that's easy to confuse with that word that I gave you for number 1, metonymy, but let me tell you how it's different. Synecdoche is using a part to describe the whole. So when sailors say all hands on deck, for example, hands are a part of the sailor that they're actually calling out, but it's just a part that's representing the whole. Metonymy, that first one, if you remember, is a related thing representing something else. So really, it could be, metonymy is kind of the broader term, and synecdoche being a little bit more specific, something apart, describing the whole. Okay, number 11 is chiasmus. Chiasmus. If you're familiar with Greek letters or the Greek system or whatever, chi looks like an X. And so that's where this term comes from. A chiasmus is when you have two parts of a sentence, and then you switch those parts of the sentence right after that. So ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Right? You just switch those pieces and then it becomes a very strong statement. Okay, next one, there is synesthesia. I have a video that is exclusively about synesthesia because I think it's such an underutilized and awesome term and literary device. Synesthesia is when you describe one sense in terms of another. One sense in terms of another. So if you say in The Great Gatsby, Fitzgerald writes about yellow cocktail music. He's describing sound, but he's using color, which is a different sense. And yet we have a good idea of what he means. So it's very cool describing one sense in terms of another. And then last but not least is Bildungsroman. Bildungsroman, when I first heard this term, I thought that is crazy. How could this be an English term that people use very often? People use it surprisingly often. I hear people say it on different shows. My first year when I taught AP literature, the open question prompt was all about Bildungsroman. So what does that actually mean? It's translated literally, it means a Roman building, but I have no idea why that's the word that they chose. It's just a coming of age story. That's it. It's a coming of age story. So To Kill a Mockingbird is a Bildungsroman. Lazarillo de Tormes is a Bildungsroman. You know, all these coming of age stories, you can think of your own. Huck Finn. So that is it. Those are the 12 AP terms at the difficult level. So good luck to you if you're taking AP this year. Don't forget, Laertes, the Hamlet retelling, is available now. It just came out. So check it out if you like dark academia. Otherwise, like this video if you like it, subscribe, hit the notifications, and I will see you soon.